Hello, and welcome back to our course on the fundamentals of blockchain. In the second chapter, we will look at the concepts behind blockchain. We will now dive deeper into several key concepts of blockchain technologies. One cannot talk about blockchain without talking about cryptocurrencies. As mentioned before, we will use Bitcoin as it is the most well-known and widely used cryptocurrency that makes use of blockchain. In this lesson, we will discuss decentralization. We will explain decentralization using several examples. Let's use a bank's financial system as an example. For those in the financial industry, please note that this example is really simplified so that everybody can understand. If you want to send $50 to your friend, that transaction goes to your bank and your bank stores it in a database. If you don't know what a database looks like, imagine a big Excel spreadsheet. You have rows and you have columns. A lot more happens under the hood though, such as auditing to know what changed, when, and who changed it. Just like a spreadsheet, you can add data to the beginning, the middle, or to the end of a database, and you can also change any value anywhere in the database. The bank is in charge of this spreadsheet and ensures that nobody tampers with it, and they have controls in place to detect and correct any tampering. The bank will also have backup copies of this spreadsheet in case of system failure. This spreadsheet is typically stored on a mainframe, a very big and very fast server. But this means that one entity is in charge of a single instance of this spreadsheet and all its data. And only this one entity has a say over what data to add, remove, or change. This database of transactions is stored privately by the banks, and you can only view the transactions that you performed. You also place your trust in a single third party who maintains a private copy of the transactions, whereas in distributed systems, they are inherently trustless, meaning you don't have to trust a single third party to do the right thing. If this database has to become public, it could be detrimental to the privacy and security of the account holders. Not to mention potentially embarrassing if you are able to see where your friend spends all this money. Because blockchains are decentralized and public, and because even you can join the blockchain network, you are able to see all the transactions ever performed on the blockchain. But the blockchain account holders are completely anonymous, unless they made their blockchain wallet addresses public. A bank is also heavily regulated by the government and other institutions, whereas most blockchain technologies are not. They are governed by the network and its nodes, not a single entity or governmental entity. The software developers usually govern the blockchain and its rules, but the source code of the software is typically publicly available for anyone to review. You can decide for yourself if this anonymity and non-governmental regulation is a good or a bad thing, and what the potential benefits or drawbacks might be of having a decentralized and non-regulated currency. Now let's use another example, a file stored on Dropbox or Google Drive. When you upload a file to one of these services, that file will not be stored on just a single server. It will be copied to many servers to ensure you can still get your file in case one or more servers go down. Also, Google and Dropbox are very clever. They might split the file into smaller chunks and spread these chunks over multiple servers in order to optimize the performance of retrieving and uploading your file, as well as the availability of your file. So a server might contain the full file or just part of the file. Each chunk of the file will point to the next chunk of the file in order to get the full file again. Things are looking better now because your file is not stored on a single server anymore. It is spread across multiple servers. But a single entity, Google or Dropbox, is still in charge of the servers and the data stored on it. Now let's look at blockchain and the concept of decentralization. It is important to note that this blockchain, the chain of transactions, is also called the distributed ledger. Remember we said that in blockchain you can only add data, a block, to the end of a chain? Let's use our spreadsheet example again. Imagine blockchain was a spreadsheet. You can only add data to the end of the spreadsheet. You can't add data anywhere else, and existing data cannot be changed at all. So when you send your friend $50, that transaction will go to the end of the spreadsheet and it cannot be changed in any way. Each row in the spreadsheet can be seen as a block, and all the rows, the blocks in the spreadsheet, make up the chain, hence the word blockchain. It is important to note that a block can contain more than one transaction. We will explain this in the upcoming slides. The spreadsheet of hundreds and thousands of transactions will be stored across multiple nodes, which can be computers, servers, laptops, and even special blockchain computers, not just a single server or computer. This collection of nodes is called a network. Anyone, even you, can join this network and become a node in this network. When you become a node, you too will have a full or partial copy of the spreadsheet, i.e. the blockchain. It is important to note so long that nodes don't necessarily perform any mining. Nodes enforce some transaction rules on the blockchain, while miners attempt to add additional blocks to the blockchain. At the time of writing, there are over 9,000 nodes in the Bitcoin network, which means that 9,000 entities are in charge of verifying every single transaction and storing this blockchain, this distributed ledger, not just a single entity as in our previous examples. This is a trustless system. You don't trust just a single third party to do the right thing. One of the major benefits of blockchain is the fact that the storage and transaction verification is completely decentralized. You can therefore almost never lose your data and, in the case of Bitcoin, thousands of nodes will verify each and every transaction to ensure it is legit, correct, and it has not been tampered with. This blockchain, the transaction ledger, is also publicly accessible to anyone. You won't see names of people on there, but you can see the transactions going from one wallet, i.e. the account, to another, when it happened, the transaction amount, and potentially also an IP address of where the transaction originated from. Here is a link to a Bitcoin block explorer where you can view any transaction ever performed. And here is a link that explains the various elements in the screenshot on the next slide. This screenshot is of some of my own Bitcoin transactions. You will notice I removed my wallet address and transaction IDs, as I don't want anyone to know that this wallet address belongs to me. Remember, we spoke about anonymity and that anyone can see all transactions ever performed. But you must keep your wallet address private if you don't want people to know who it belongs to. Thank you for watching this lesson.